works. Finally, time to play.
How's this one hit?
Together, guys, we can win this.
Okay. Yeah, I'm coming. It's only Sander this damn thing.
He has W still, right?
I'll play 1 second.
Nice.
Oh my god, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's OP, he's OP. Yeah, he's full build.
Well, it was fine.
They don't want to join back in, but Myrwn will do it himself. He flips, he smacks, and yes, Myrwn can.
Look as well, guys.
I got another hit.
I'm coming with Q3, if you have anything.
You can end
We
me.
can end.
Nice. We're gonna get Nash and Soul, by the way.
Yeah, get Nash and Soul, yeah.
Safety piece, guys, safety piece.
Grabs, it's 10 minutes into game 1. You're ahead. Did you get everything you wanted in draft?
Yeah, especially also I think we gave them a bit enough of what they want, like the Yone, for example, which, you know, if they're comfortable, they're really good. So if we can take this game away, I think each game should be better for us. So I'm pretty happy so far.
So how far do you think you are thinking ahead in this Fearless draft into all the games that come? Because you're saying, okay, we need to give them something so that they get taken out?
It's more like just preparing for it, basically, like being aware of, okay, we saw them playing Maokai in certain situations. Then they go get a Yone, okay, what is good against it? Basically giving it something, as you said, breadcrumbs, let's say. And I think we're a better team overall if they're not comfortable.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
I mean, absolutely. In the early game, better team. In the late game, apparently better team. But I don't know about you guys. That mid game, I'm getting flashbacks from BDS. And that's why I've brought a Fnatic clip from their series against BDS as well. So in this one specifically, it is around the Adacon, because a little oopsie happened this game as well. So in this one, they are in a lead. They are the one dictating the game. They were the one who had a lead, as you can see it currently, with a 3.5.9. But going into it then, looking at the map state, suddenly Humanoid is just doing Drake while the enemy team is getting control of Adacon. He's then going to be looking at the Raptors instead, trying to get control of them as well for some reason, potentially looking for an item power spike. But as you look at your minimap right now, you can see that Humanoid's on Raptors. Upset is farming his own Raptors as well, while the entirety of BDS is on Dragon. And speaking of top priority, they don't actually have much. So the map play that we're seeing from Fnatic in the mid game was a big weakness for them against BDS. The decision in making in general was quite lackluster, and it was something that I'd hoped that they were going to improve going into today's series. But as we looked at this one, they're going to be too late on the objective. They've already gotten the Drake, they were prioritizing that, they were prioritizing getting Humanoid ahead. The problem back then was they also took a bad fight, and suddenly it's not really looking too good for them, right? So Fnatic had a way against BDS of continuously throwing their early game leads in the mid game, and specifically against that Adacon. Now, where does that bring me? Well, that brings me to the clip we currently have from this game as well, because it sort of happened. I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing Fnatic being ahead, and I'm seeing Adacon being started on the other side of the team while they're getting a tier 2. So as we roll out the clip from the new one as well quite quickly, you're going to see that it's once again the decision-making that's lacking from Fnatic, right? They are going for tier 2, which isolated, it's a fine play. It really is. You have an objective in mind, and you're getting it. But on the other side of the map, you have no coverage for the Adacon. And it made it really difficult for Fnatic in this game, because when they were fighting against the next dragon of MKOI, MKOI with the Adacon was suddenly able to come back into the game. So I don't know, like this, I have no idea how they keep getting away with mistakes like this, but I'm sure, Laure, you might have an answer for me.
That's why we have analysts, actually, because they can tell us what happened here. Same, but different, but still the same here from Fnatic. And I felt like it came down to this wacky base defense from Fnatic. Like, could MKOI actually end here? What's that the mistake, Jack?
I mean, I don't know what we just watched. This was my first game being a Fnatic fan, and I think I already want to throw in the towel, because that was just so stressful, just throws back and forth. I think for me, this was like kind of an uncharacteristic game from Upset and Oscarinin. I know Upset had really good stats, but I felt like his decision-making and his team fighting just wasn't what it usually is. And Oscarinin on the Rumble, I mean, Myrwn just looked like a god on this Cassandra. But
can we talk about this base defense? Mikyx holds 4 people by his own.
Mickey was the goat this
certain
game.
that this game was going to end here. I was certain they could just run down with a wave and end the game, but somehow, by some godly Deus Ex Machina, they somehow defended this game. And then they just like ran down mid after and won a winning fight. I just gotta give great kudos to Mikyx. I can't tell many supports that would make this play and hold this game.
Why is a fight like this enough to completely turn the game around?
I mean, it was just the combination of them getting the Nash and the Soul that just made the next fights unplayable. But I really think Mikyx was the miracle worker of this game. It felt like he kept everything together. The way he played around the map, the way he fake pressured, he got a lot of picks onto Alistar, even blew his ultimate here and there. It was a big support gap. And I think, for me, this cements the idea that as long as Upset and Oscarinin have a better Game 2 and Game 3, we can maybe get a 3-0.
You're pretty confident in the prediction you had.
I mean, they should have lost this game,
All right.
but I still think they should win the series.
It's fine.
Okay, so they should have lost this game, but they're gonna win the series. Okay,
It's the Nexus explosion that matters here, Finn. But I want to ask you guys, going into the next game, what do both teams need to do? Fnatic to have cleaner gameplay, because I feel like that's what's at stake here, and MKOI to actually push their lead to the end and actually grab that Nexus. They're going to be on the blue side here. So any improvements that we want to see from both teams in draft, maybe?
I think coming into next game, MKOI should say, okay, I think in general they were in control of this game. I think they got a little bit overzealous in the end. I think they just need to calm down, say, okay, we could have won this game. Let's move on. Just leave this game for what it was. Move on, forget about it, and focus on what's ahead of you. There's a long best of 5 ahead. I think we're gonna have to strap in for a really long night, and we have to really just look at what champions that could be relevant.
Any advice to make the Fnatic fans feel better?
I mean, I think Oscarinin on more something like Ambessa or a Bruiser, I think he looks a lot more comfortable than the Rumble, and he's gonna look good. I think as well this should be like a confidence win for Fnatic, because when you have a game like this that's really messy and you throw, but you end up persevering, it feels great, and probably MKOI is looking a little bit tilted, especially after all that trash talk.
It is a banger, and it's just game 1. We see Humanoid resting comfortably on his chair, and we're gonna do the same thing and toss it to a break. We'll be right back for game 2 right after this.
Fnatic can't keep getting away with it. It happened versus BDS, and then they successfully got to the end. In this game, they did it again. They threw their gold, they threw the game a bit. Granted, comp was harder, but then they got it back again. Fnatic cannot keep getting away with this. It has been a rocky road, and we're not going to Dublin. We're going right here to Berlin. Against KC, they wait. Well, game 1 goes to Fnatic, albeit a risky one.
Either way, the Shillelagh was swinging in this one, and they really wanted to try and get through on both sides. But I don't really know if, like, what is your takeaway on either side? Because from Movistar KOI, this should have been a game that you closed out from the position that you were in, right? It felt like you didn't play through the strengths of your front-to-back team fight by sending multiple people off in different directions and allowing Fnatic then to play through this more pick-orientated composition that they set up. So on the upside, Fnatic, like, again, they started this game off well, we just fumbled it. So I think for either side, still looking to see that they do have it in them to close out a game nice and easy here.
I'm mainly just interested in the adaptations. The good news for KOI is that best of 5, they could now just get a 3-0 starting from this point. They could forget the game 1 ever happened. They have the luxury, and based on the all chat at the end of that game, they were still bridled with confidence, especially as they should be, given that they were in the winning position.
Supa ended the game by calling them chokers still.
Yes.
I was like, all right, fair play, fair play. Yeah.
Got to give credit. Stick to your guns again. We're about to get in the second game. Pick ban. Okay. Those fearless picks that are unavailable will be on the bottom of your screen. Quick reminder, if you don't know already, 15.3 is where we stay for the remainder of the playoffs, so we're not going any further. Top of your screen, in fact, actually. So K'Sante now off the board. Big picks like the Maokai, the Vi, the Yone as well, which was a good pairing with Sejuani. Where do you guys want to start the hit here for what is important now?
I still think jungle always going to be important. We've seen how, especially as you start to dip into the champion pool of like Vi, MKOI gone, probably like the Zyra, the Sejuani, these kind of things rise up. But also picks like the Varus and the Kalista becoming very important in that AD carry role as well. So I'm curious to see. Okay, well, Kalista's gone already, but do you end up just saying, hey, we're happy to kind of trade junglers in this position, go towards those B tiers, and just look at a strong AD carry in response?
Well, looks like the jungle bans are going to continue for now.
Pantheon.
As
we see ban hoppers. I don't remember seeing that. That's cool.
I'm pretty sure that's locked in.
Or we're really thinking about it extra hard.
I'm pretty confident that is locked in. The Kalista Poppy on blue side from KOI is definitely interesting because it suggests to me that they have a clear game plan as to what they want to first pick. The Ambessa is going to be the response ban from the side of Fnatic, and Azir is likely going to be the first pick from KOI. Right now in EU, mid laners think that this pick is just very strong, a very safe blind, scales well in side lanes, has great teamfight value, and it's just a very versatile mid laner. Jojo, I mean, you were saying it earlier, it's one of his most played from Winter Hysterics, and as we move over to the red side, Fnatic now have priority around what they want to get in the jungle, along with their kind of choice of AD carry.
Yeah, I think the Varus pickup is probably a nice one. The only thing is, as Ruler is all too familiar with, Azir can do quite wondrous things against the Varus when it comes down to it. So maybe wanting something that has a little bit more survivability, and that maybe opting in towards like a Zyra Khan here may also be an option if you want to, but we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is here for Fnatic.
I mean, they could just lock in their mid. Something like an Ahri Xin could be solid.
Yeah, true.
Maybe they want a little bit more setup.
Okay.
No, they're just going to go for the Varus. I think that's completely fine. We already talked about how, in terms of lane dominance and scaling, also in terms of builds, you have a lot of flexibility with what you do with this one.
So while Jungle started the conversation in game 2, let's quickly hit on another one. Sejuani that was taken away in the later bans last time as well. AP jungle was like the Lilia as an option, but you've already got Azir mid. We're starting to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, but I always like this with Fearless. What else you got for Razork? Oh, sorry, for Elyoya in this case.
Yeah, I think the Sejuani is kind of what you're looking at because you want something that's a bit more frontline orientated, especially if you're going to go towards the Jinx as well. So,
Lulu?
Yeah, I just think you take the Sejuani here. That offers you your non-committal engage coming through from the jungle. You can provide that front line, and then you can always opt in towards things like the Leona later or something along that to kind of add to that wheelhouse of just having that beefy front line.
It's not happening, guys. It's not. Calm down. It's not Broxer, all right? Go and watch his streams. Here we play Sejuani, and it makes sense with the Azir paired up nicely.
This time around, I was going to say I expect mid laner to be locked in. I don't think Humanoid wants to be pinched as much as he was in the previous game. I think that Corki pick in the matchup was fine, but in the context of the comp, limited what Fnatic could do in the mid to late game. And Taliyah just gives you so much options, and it pairs very nicely alongside the Xin, along with giving you good push and priority in the other game.
Well, what's your thoughts on the Jinx early here? Because I'm not a big fan, because you get to basically rotate a Lulu Braum ban on this next one, and then what do you actually pair with the Jinx? Unless you want to go something like Renata, but that feels a little bit off to me as well. This Jinx suddenly feels very vulnerable on the bottom side of the map, especially if Chains of Corruption starts to come up, if you end up taking a Leona. Like, I'm not sure on the Jinx.
On the side of Fnatic could be
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same idea.
I mean, Yuumi could be the possibility on the side of KOI. It depends how much they want to go in terms of scaling. The Olaf towards Oscar, for those that don't know. Oscar is a bit of an Olaf player throughout his career. He loves to have access onto that backline and to just be able to run champions down like the Jinx before she has an opportunity to get her passive activated.
We have seen Karma top from Myrwn. Just putting it out there that Enchanter in a different lane could also help a comp that has double
Karma support could also be a possibility.
And you're right, you could throw that in there as well. Things like the Olaf to run it down in lane seem pretty volatile. Gnar also taken off, which could have been a fish there by the Olaf too.
I'm shocked they didn't take the Lulu ban, unless they want to pair Lulu for Mikyx in the bottom lane, but I don't think you have enough engaged. So, like, the way I saw Fnatic's draft playing out here was ban the Lulu, you take the Leona for yourself.
Yeah.
That kind of forces Alvaro to maybe go for something like the Rakan on that opposite side, and then you can go from there.
If they pick Lulu, then they have an easy Blitzcrank angle. They also have
true.
Pike
true.
for Mikyx.
Yeah.
Nautilus, like, I think they're saying, like, we don't care if you pick
Their
Lulu.
pick is insane on that as well. Just picking support here, I mean, that throws that option out the window.
I mean, they want to give counter pick on the top side, but like Nautilus is the safest of the three that we talked about. But the idea is Pike, Blitz, Nork. Nautilus is just a hook champion into a kind of pushes you away from things like the Lulu. So instead, KOI are just going to go for full frontline. This is a full front-to-back teamfight composition. I think that the great thing about Ornn is it's very easy to set up around objectives because of the long-range ultimate that you have, and also just great scaling.
Yeah, the problem that I have with the Nautilus, though, is that you end up losing the support matchup in this one, so I would have actually liked this swapped the other side, but that's a Gwen for Oscarinin, so this is definitely a composition that just wants to try and run you down, and it's going to be on Mikyx to provide that point-and-click ultimate to get things started for Fnatic.
And I've had a lot of faith in Oscarinin. Last game, he was blazing, but like throughout playoffs so far, Oscarinin,
he's been fantastic.
You guys have been telling me week in, week out, he's been the most consistent member on Fnatic. Now you put him in a carry matchup versus the Ornn. That Ornn is going to regret being in that 1v1.
The only downside is lane swaps.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it happens, was it?
But I think when we think back to the previous game, side lane management is neither one of these teams' biggest strengths.
True.
And so Oscar is a player we'll have to keep track of how well he can just prioritize focusing on himself. Because Gwen will reach a point where she becomes impossible to stop with this composition coming out from KOI. The amount of peel from this Leona is limited, and I don't know if it will be enough to keep these threats off you. While the composition from KOI is straightforward, it looks like it has great scaling. You've got to remember the mid-jungle duo of Fnatic gives you a lot of priority in these early skirmishes. It's impossible for the Sejuani Azir to really fight you around these neutrals. And then when it comes to the wave clear in the mid lane, while there's a lot on the side of KOI, it's not like Fnatic are out of options. So I really like what Fnatic have drafted. I think this gives them a lot of playmaking and tools to be able to play this game out.
And if I'm Supa, I'm hella nervous this game because I see level 6 hit for Humanoid, I see level 6 hit for Mikyx, and I don't get to play the game anymore. So I think there's a huge amount of pressure on Movistar KOI to keep this bot lane in shape.
But as we get into game 2, back on the Rift after a very slicey, dicey game number 1, we see if KOI can fight back. The Spanish fans are out in force as usual. And KOI has once again given us similarities, gents. Like, we've got a front-to-back comp again. We've got an easier-to-execute composition. Remember, we criticized Fnatic for the last game, how hard it was to face-check some of these objectives. Ornn, Sej, Leona again. Their engage is perfect once more.
Yeah, coming into this week, had a great conversation with Odoamne about how champions can basically make space for your team.
Yep.
And the idea is being that when a champion walks at you, how much do you have to respect it, right? And so if you think of some champion like Taliyah and she walks into a brush, no one's going to be afraid of that.
Yep.
They're just going to immediately pop the Taliyah. But Ornn, Leona, these are champions that you have to respect, because if you're sitting in a brush and they walk up to it, like, they either have to back away or there's the very real risk of an engage coming through. So KOI have great tools to re-engage on an objective, even if they're second to it. The biggest problem that this composition has is early game agency. When it comes to early skirmishes, it's very difficult for them to actually fight against this Taliyah and Zhao with a Varus and Nautilus on top of that.
And that's why it's fantastic here that Fnatic actually called the lane swap from Movistar KOI. So we are going to have those standard lanes, and instead it's actually going to be Myrwn who needs to basically leg it down to this bottom side of the map, because as both AD carries show on top, I think Fnatic are going to be delighted that Oscarinin should, in theory, be able to get the waves that he needs.
Myrwn just trudging down there. Yeah, again, you're right. As a Gwen, I'm sure I'd be super happy just to be in light of the wave in a lane swap meta.
That's 3 minions already gone in terms of XP.
He got all of them, didn't he?
I mean, admittedly, Myrwn did get some XP, which means that Jojo's level 2 is going to be a little bit delayed in the mid lane. Maybe Humanoid can utilize that.
True.
But yeah, it's this mid-jungle duo that you're really going to have to keep your eyes on, especially when Mikyx gets unlocked on the map. One of the biggest strengths that we praised Fnatic for in the early regular season was Razork and Mikyx's ability to pair up together and start making stuff happen on the map. And this is the type of composition that really thrives in that environment.
Don't you think it's funny, however, that we've got 2 junglers who... You guys used the word engines before. I look at Elyoya and what he's been doing for KOI, and while he is a bit of the driving force, I would consider him the engine as well. I know we talked a lot about Upset being that for Fnatic. It's good dredge line, even under turret. Barrier comes out of Supa. Worried a little bit about the burst.
But look at where Razork is on the map. That's now a very big summoner spell down for Supa. And you have the opportunity for Razork to immediately move up towards this top side. So this could be a potential issue already for Movistar KOI. And even in the mid lane, you can see Humanoid. He's happy to trade hyper aggressively here because he knows he's got the biscuit advantage. You know, inspiration tree hysterics. You were highlighting that in the last
Circle time. 1, 2, count with me, chat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 inspiration trees.
Yeah, and no little snacks for Jojopyun to really work his way through, so he has to go for the reset as well. But if Humanoid can basically trade as hyper-aggressive as he is and heal off of having access to that extra health off the biscuits, he's going to be in an okay shape.
I'm glad again we can see Oscarinin and flourish. Myrwn gets a push in, and of course natural base is here with Grasp. Myrwn does have a little bit of a burst, remember. They already talked about it. My bloke's next to me talking about the scaling here and how unbeatable she'll be, especially if she gets time in the sun. Meanwhile, Alvaro, Dredgeland's going to pull him in. Razork's here, level 4. Wind becomes lightning, and this Leona's tanky enough, though. Alvaro flashes away, but it's match. Razork might be first meat, first blood, first dead, as Mikyx is now amongst 3. At Permafrost, almost in range, but Mikyx Shield of Daybreak and melee support is freshly done as Supa gets his 2nd kill. Big play for KOI in the early game.
The wind becomes lightning, missed on towards Supa, so Razork actually couldn't get access to the prime target in this. And in that position, you have so much CC between Elyoya and this Leona, there's nothing Fnatic can do.
I mean, prioritizing Alvaro in this situation means that, I mean, yes, Supa's under no threat, so when the re-engage comes through from KOI, it's very easy for them to turn this fight around. Funneling those kills onto Supa is massive. The idea should be that Xin has that early power, especially when paired alongside a Varus, but if the Leona is who you're going to hit, Aftershock along with the W, I mean, she is incredibly durable.
And this is why I would have liked to see that Leona taken earlier, because Leona is so strong in this matchup. You end up popping the W, and you're just able to trade hyper-aggressively in the matchup because Nautilus just doesn't have enough sticking power, and now Oscarinin's in trouble.
Sticking power against the wall, Oscarinin stuck there, popped, and Myrwn gets a kill of his own. KOI are alive in this game, too early game.
I was expecting...
He goes in because he knows Alvaro's here, but might be in a bit of trouble. Jojo gets poked out, Humanoid the same though, and a nice little weave in that almost costs the health.
But it's Alvaro and Elyoya that right now are making plays on the map. A really nice punish on the top side of the map onto Razork, and now this time on the bot, Oscar running the Ghost meant that once the chain CC came through, it was very difficult for him to create space between Myrwn and Elyoya. Ultimately, 3 kills now secured for KOI.
And 2 of them on towards Supa. This Jinx already accelerated, makes things significantly easier for her now. Even just in that 2v2 matchup, Mikyx and Upset can't really contest. And as well, as you start to get more of that AD, you can look for these ultimates that suddenly become game-changing in this early stage.
Our challenger chat knows that if the carries get ahead in a front-to-back comp, makes things a hell of a lot easier for the rest of the game to come. Alvaro not caught out by Mikyx, who's trudging into the dredges of enemy jungle with Razork by his side. Quick side note, you know, you guys were talking about the tankiness of Alvaro before. 20 bonus armor and MR on level 1 W, by the way. That seems fair with a 8 flat damage reduction. Just a reason why he survived and why early game for KOI is going so well. They're going to do it again. Watch it. With an eclipse in his eyes, Alvaro, not the target this time, but Supa spaces them out. They keep doing this. Fnatic are like, I see them. I must kill them. But no, 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 no. KOI are going to chase them down. Razork lucky to get out of that one, but 4 kills early, and Fnatic just did the same bad play again.
Yeah, it's the same problem. I mean, 1, Elyoya's been doing a fantastic job of tracking where Razork is to be in a position to follow up on this, but 2, this Leona is always going to beat out the Nautilus. The way you play this matchup is you end up playing defensive as Nautilus. You hook the Leona out of her Zenith Blade so then you can play the fight, but now you're 2 levels down as Mikyx and trying to hard force into topside with Elyoya here again.
There's 4 here under turret with Call to Forge got available as well, and a Permafrost only lacking 1 auto. Mikyx gets in the way, that's nice, but he might die for it. A searing charge and a death to remember. Flash from Myrwn is brilliant. Upset had his number and Alvaro's too as they get out of dodge. Trying to run up is Humanoid. He's got a mana bar to do so. Myrwn in the trudges as well. Humanoid finds his target onto Alvaro. He tanks it up. Zenith Blade in. He might just have to die so Supa survives, but a seismic shove all the way back. Barrier in tow. Upset will find him with an auto. 2 kills for Fnatic. They fight back.
Fnatic finally get themselves onto the board after a snowball that was being generated by KOI was running out of control. Nice ulti comes in from Humanoid, but this initial play from Myrwn, the ulti doing so much work to set up the play on Razork. Mikyx trying to act as defender for his jungler works, but he ends up losing his life if it weren't for this play from Humanoid, 5 kills to 0 would have been a disastrous spot for Fnatic.
I still think it's pretty disastrous regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that they get 2 back, and it will be the shutdown on towards Supa as well that goes across the upset. But again, like, you're looking at a poke Varus who's getting these shutdowns. Like, the Taliyah is not really going to follow carry the fights. It's kind of Oscarinin who has to be that main carry in these fights for Fnatic. And Movistar KOI know which way their bread is buttered. They're just going to continue to play around Supa.
And they got plenty of butter at this point. A searing charge dodged away from by Oscarinin. I thought he popped the ulti there, but no. 4 members of KOI now setting up around this turret. Respect given over by Oscar, because again, that could have been another dive. The best skin of the game, yes it is. Choo choo! Well, 3 plates, that's a given. Mikyx comes in finally, very much needing experience when you compare him to Alvaro. So he'll pop level 5 at the end of that wave, but still, early gold lead over to KOI. 3-kill Jinx as well. And yes, upset balance some of that, but as you guys were saying, it does still feel like KOI, they've got buttered bread. Well done, Dagda.
I will say I am a little surprised that Upset's going for the poke build rather than the on-hit build.
Yeah,
when you have so much of a front line, I was expecting it more to be front to back, especially when you pair it up alongside the Gwen to be able to melt through these tanks. With the lead that KOI have, like, they're putting themselves in a great position because now they can just choose to slow the game down. Because if you just remain even from this point, your carries are just in such a great spot. Remember, their main win condition is, it doesn't matter whether they're first on the objective or second. All that matters is that their carries stand behind their front line and it's just a front-to-back fight.
And they're also constantly swapping this Jinx into Oscarinin at this stage to just look for more of these plates. So again, all that they're trying to do is shove as much gold into this Jinx and let her be that late game carry. And meanwhile, like, you're getting Jojopyun, who's getting all that free time in mid. He has no pressure on him. And Fnatic are backpedaling, constantly trying to keep pace with Movistar KOI. Again, like, look, they've now moved upside down towards the bottom side, but you're going to get that push from Myrwn in the top lane, which means he's avoiding the bad matchup. And it's constantly rotating like this, where Movistar KOI are actually avoiding all these issues. And look, again, reset once more on both of top and bot. And they're just going to swap them again. They just want to avoid them at every point of the conversation.
And it's only going to get worse as well, right? Because Myrwn, as they keep doing these swaps and they keep being ahead in said tempo, a League of Legends player's favorite word, Myrwn will have the hollow radiant, so he'll insta-clear as well as that Ornn. And as Oscarinin once again makes the move himself, I just like it. We're just playing this game of footsie that Fnatic seem to be right now losing out in. 1 minute 42 grabs, by the way, that KOI already picked up in the early game. That next dragon in 2 minutes 30, Fnatic already had one of those two.
You'll notice as well on the minimap, Varus and Gwen both pathing towards mid in the event that they went back to standard lane, so they want to be able to match if they can. This time around, Varus going to be pathing up towards top, and it is KOI that is always one step ahead. Fnatic playing catch-up. Alvaro may be able to find a pick, but Upset takes the safe path.
And that's where, again, like, now that Mikyx's shown on this, you have to be so careful as Upset if you show on top side, because there's an opportunity that you can split the map through this jungle and then try and go for this dive on towards Upset. But Movistar KOI aren't able to get into position ahead of time, but still, it's push and move, push and move. Yeah. All the Movistar KOI are playing, and it's an incredibly fast pace, but it's super difficult to keep up with.
You're just going from one restaurant to another, but you're not paying the bill right now. 50 seconds till those grubs spawn.
But see, again, you have to back away because look at where Upset is. He knows that he can't actually link up with Razork and Mikyx as long as Movistar KOI end up taking over that objective. So he's now again late on the wave, and you're just getting to push here as Movistar KOI.
One of the biggest things about these grubs is that Mikyx's still only level 5. He's a full level behind Alvaro. The reset has come through from Alvaro to replenish his stock of wards. He's gotten himself another control ward as well. I think this is a very difficult objective to contest if you're Fnatic. Nice interrupt onto Oscar, because if they were going to fight, he's the person that you really want involved in that topside skirmish, especially given that he hasn't completed that Nash's Tooth just yet.
I think if you're Fnatic, you have to give up these void grubs though. Like, the amount of vision control that's there is a little terrifying, but they're still fishing here.
Don't fight here at the least. Mikyx, be careful of that brush. It's hurt them twice, and Razork knows so. Dredge line in. Again, the exact same spot. Alvaro turns it. He's got a solar flare onto Mikyx again. Fnatic gets shoved away. That's Jojo disengaging as Razork can't do anything, and Supa gets the reset. Siphon Shove flushed away from his Upset, tries to carry the fight on the back end. Supa chases him down while Oscarinin starts sending out the needles. Snippy time. Humanoid sends some rocks as well. It's all about projectiles and the environment. But as we get away from close global warming. We see Humanoid run over by a damn train. Coal versus the planet, and it looks like it's a whole mess of action.
It ends up being a one fight still for Fnatic. Well, I say one fight. Mickey's death time was so short, he actually came back. 2 for 2, my apologies. And in terms of the objective, it's still available. Oscar low HP as both TPs are used. Supports are already making their way back out onto the map. Razork going to start off the grubs.
But I do agree with you, Vedi. Like, from the position it was in, it's a one fight for Fnatic. They never should have had an opportunity to trade even and get the Void grubs. This is huge for Fnatic, and a large proponent of this was the fact that the fights were so spread out. Supa never got that front line into position, and now Myrwn out of position, but able to reconnect here. They're still trying to force Fnatic back, and it looks like they will manage it this time around.
KOI just going to start up the grubs, and as Razork sits in the back of the pit, 4 at bare minimum, looks like maybe even 5 for KOI in this early game. So even after all said and done, still feels like their early game continues on. We'll look at the replay here quick, Vedi, and see how this started in the same spot. 3rd time's a charm.
So crucially, it's a numbers disadvantage to start off. While the TPs are available, the Nautilus doesn't have level 6 yet, so he immediately melts. A lot of resources are invested onto the Nautilus though, so when the re-engage comes through from Fnatic, look how confident Oscar can play. He knows that there's very little that he has to be afraid with, and so he forces out the Ornn, he forces out Jojo. The wall completely disconnects the supporting staff, and that means that it turns into a 3v4 on the top side. Ultimately, as we said, it ends up being a 2 for 2, but the re-engage from Fnatic goes to show that some of the scaling elements of things like the Gwen and the CC that this composition has means that Fnatic definitely not out of this game just yet.
Yeah, especially how quickly they got to that fight made things significantly easier. The double TP coming through very fast, and now Fnatic knocking down that bot lane turret to answer for the top one. Mid lane still under a lot of pressure. This is still a game that can go either way, but it feels like, again, you still got that ticking time bomb of Supa. 4 kills, Yuntal now completed.
Yeah.
He is still very strong, and especially once he starts to get towards things like the Runaan's Hurricane, and you set up that front to back from Movistar KOI, that's where he'll be a threat. But that's also where we saw the last game fall apart from Movistar KOI, was inability to set up these front to back team fights successfully.
True.
I feel so much of this is going to hinge on Oscar, just because he does change the landscape of a front to back. He does. The slows come through. Mickey's on his way. Level 6 now.
It's annoying that you can't order that. Oscar just takes it with him. As you said, Mickey is the engage. Jojo has his ulti available. Dredge line misses, though. Depth charge instead. The hard command. They're looking for the true damage. Ulti comes out, and Jojo disengages. He's alive for another day.
I think Mickey should have just been a little bit more patient. Start with the ulti and then connect the hook.
Yeah.
Probably would have given them enough CC to actually get that kill, so a bit of a misplay there from Mickey. Herald now spawning in about 45 seconds as KOI set their sights on the bot tier 1.
He does have as many deaths as KOI have as Fnatic having kills, rather. So that's just to be noted here. There's going to be another turret going down. And with Gwen on the other side of the map, right now Fnatic are hoping they can do the same thing, but not going to be as quick with one grub. Fnatic now roaming around mid, but KOI are looking to sandwich.
It's also because Mickey committed to top side, no ult now, and KOI want to just continue to put pressure, make sure that you lose out on that bot wave. They take a bit of damage on towards this tier 2.
Sounded like Mr. Mackey. KOI. Okay, fantastic. For the old people in chat, I guess, is Humanoid. Oh, he almost super just sidesteps at Solar Flare, saved by his support. Alvaro doing a good job of protecting the president. KOI running away, but Razork jumps in. Arctic Assault and a Permafrost will keep him in place. Myrwn looking for a root as well, and Chains of Corruption flies out. A diving shove again, but now Call of the damn Train lines up, and through the passageway, Fnatic get bopped around. Ignite takes Mickey down. And KOI, the resilience in their fight, the constant engage, it never ends.
Fnatic are just always trying to overextend to find that pick, find that moment, but Movistar KOI are just hiding behind these tanks over and over again, and you just don't have that same luxury here. As they start to pull through, you can see they look for the engage on towards Supa. Good sidestep here to walk away from it, but not actually getting into position to have access now to that back line means that Movistar KOI are in a much better position. You can see Supa plays out of the fight, looking for the ult constantly.
Really, I just think that Razork shouldn't have tried to force. I think that Fnatic ultimately got what they wanted, which was access back to the bot tower, and they were just disconnected because Humanoid and Mickey were on the right side of the play, whereas Razork is diving in over a wall with which his team really can't follow. So there was a clear disconnect for me in terms of how Fnatic wanted to execute that, and they just hand over another kill.
I don't know what champion that is. I don't know what the Squid Champions are
I think
in League of
it's
Legends currently.
Lulu's in the pool parties.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that one. As Mikyx engaged on again, Alvaro takes this. Stretch line hits back, though. It's a beautiful one. And from Mikyx, might have set it up. The burst coming in, and Jojo's about to die. But Humanoid in the end! He's alive! He gets burned down, and Jojo survives. Alvaro's the new target. Stretch line misses, as Oski now comes in, ready to sending the needles out. It's injection time! Jojo, have you had your shots? Oscar chasing him. His ghost is down, but as Jojo uses his fleet to gain some ground, he is now out. But Myrwn, unfortunately, the next stop is not here. It's far, far away, and Fnatic will just take him with ease and eventually give over the kill to one of these carries. Shut down over to Upset, and I love this game of to and fro.
It's another game of chaos as we see the fight initiated by KOI. A nice pick with a hook connected into the knockback, but Elyoya's target focus there was fantastic, locking down Humanoid and giving Jojo an opportunity to get a fantastic outplay. But then the TP flank comes in from Oscar, and again, Oscar arriving in the fight was the difference maker, because so many Fnatic members were still alive. The moment that he joins the fight, it changes the entire landscape.
But again, look at where the tanks are positioned in these fights. You've got Elyoya going for a flank, which means he's not protecting on towards his backline, which is why Mikyx can get the hook on towards Azir. It's the same when you look at where Myrwn is TPing into. He's now on the top side of the fight as Fnatic are chasing down in the front of the Baron pit. Consistently, MKOI are not setting up slow. They're trying to take these skirmishes, and that's not what this comp is set up for.
So the only question I have for you is, do you like jazz? Because that's not it. This is rock and roll. Mikyx with the dredge line. Permafrost sent out. Now with the glacial prison sent as well. Those chains of corruption from Upset flung out on top of that. As Myrwn's now teleported in. We are A-ramming once again here in Europe. None of that Nay-ram business where ooh-ram. All I can think about is MKOI, and they're set up from Myrwn. He's got his ult, he's level 11. He's in a perfect spot. Zoning out Mikyx right now with a Hex Flash, while Dragon is the thought. Fnatic want their third.
Again, look at Fnatic set up. They're coming in from multiple different angles. MKOI can't really find one way into the pit because Mikyx is constantly threatening the back line. They need to hard force through, but this is their moment.
Upset's damage is hurting Alvaro. One of their engagements almost kicked down. The wall is down, and Humanoid separates Oscarinin. He might have to charge through while Jojo one-man ulties. Oscarinin is isolated, and he'll be taken first. Dragon now the thought for KOI. They're on top of it. Fnatic are bringing in the cavalry. Seismic shove away, and Jojo cannot stay. 2K the steal. No, at 5. Razork has stayed alive, and now Elyoya is just going to follow suit. Shutdown after shutdown. Fnatic after Fnatic. They keep getting more.
This is how Fnatic want to set up a fight, and this is Fnatic coming alive in the series. Fantastically played in that engagement, and there's nothing Movistar KOI can do.
I mean, look at the engagement onto Oscar. Yes, he's isolated. Alvaro's already lost half his HP. The wall will come through and separate Myrwn from the fight. Humanoid is then chipping away at Alvaro, chipping away at Elyoya. But look at the damage that he's able to do onto the backline. Supa is now down to about 20-30% HP. Jojo has already used his ultimate, and Fnatic are full health bars. There's nothing that they have to be afraid of anymore. Oscar just bought a lot of time, bought a lot of resources, and then the re-engage comes through, and it's a one-team fight for Fnatic.
And this is the thing, Fnatic have been doing a fantastic job of just spreading out these fights, drawing Movistar KOI in multiple directions, and then you're able to find Oscarinin in the back line, Mikyx threatening on towards Jojopyun and Supa with ultimates, so they have to run away. It's isolating these core parts of Movistar KOI so they can take them down.
And we haven't talked about him in this game, but let's just give ode to Humanoid, where every single fight, I feel like he's burning flashes or he's landing these seismic shoves. He might not have the kill credit, but like 7 out of 10 kill participation, Humanoid is a big part of the reason why these Fnatic picks are escalating further and further.
And now you have 3 dragons to Fnatic, a mountain soul potentially in the cards in 3.5 minutes. And Movistar KOI just haven't been able to play successfully through Supa to enable him. He's still only got 1.5 items, whereas you're starting to see basically everyone of Fnatic matching him.
Yeah.
This Jinx just isn't accelerated anymore, and is honestly struggling to get any sort of grip in these fights.
It's been so crazy. As Vedius said before, it's chaotic. But so was game 1. That's why this series already should be looking forward to the days to come. At least the games to come, I should say. At 20 kills at 21 minutes, Herald's going to be taken. Fnatic are zoning off. And Upset did this last fight as well. Alvaro got chunked before there was even a chance to think about an engage.
I mean, Upset's accuracy is impressive. I was skeptical of the lethality Varus, but my man is making it work right now. Who's able to get a nice snipe in the previous fight. I think it's deathless so far in this game. The kill score is 10-10, but Fnatic feel like they are in the driver's seat right now. KOI, there are still ways in which they can win this game. When it comes to the objectives, they have room to be able to buy space by leveraging things like the Ornn ultimate. They have a lot of engaged tools. But again, as Dagda's been saying, if you don't get that front to back, Fnatic just have a lot of options when it comes to the fight.
And that's where I think you do need to try and play smart around your waves. You group up as 5, you push in mid, you lean in towards river, you deny the vision, but without actually playing around their wave state on mid lane, it's opened up opportunities for Mikyx to look for flanks, for Fnatic to try and play off of those shortcuts Movistar KOI are trying to take. And now, Fnatic, with this Rift Herald, want to see if they can crack up in the mid lane turret. You can see where Razork is just now starting to make his way in, but everyone on Fnatic's here.
And a poke you get to watch a second time around. Herald's going to be dropped down. Jojo's walking up from bottom. KOI might just have to defend this at the inner turret. This will be an easy charge. I mean, Supa's trying to kill it before it gets anywhere near, but there it goes. Charges, dies, and gold just goes over to Fnatic. They escape now with a 3k gold lead.
And this is going to open up Fnatic now to keep that pressure in mid. They can lean across, set up vision, make it even more uncomfortable for Movistar KOI to get access to these objectives. But I feel like if Fnatic ever overextend, that's the moment where Movistar KOI can try and fight back. If they are trying to take the fight in Movistar KOI's jungle, suddenly the value of Elyoya's Sejuani ult, Myrwn's ultimate, Alvaro's ultimate, and just the forced front to back that would enable Supa is where Movistar KOI can fight back. So you still aren't out of the woodwork yet as Fnatic. It's looking way more positive.
Bro, no one's taking their hands off the workbench at this point. I feel like in this series, I don't think they've seen outside for at least the past 3 hours. It has been a spectacle. I mean, this is nice when our top 4 is competitive, but I think even nicer when we see Fnatic starting to, I don't know, get over the woes and the slow hands of game 1. I don't know what you guys want to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. Versus Vedius, we said the same thing. Mistakes?
Mistakes.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because we've definitely seen some execution errors from Fnatic, especially in the early levels, and I definitely feel at times they're a little disconnected. But they feel confident when they're in winning position, as many teams often do.
Yeah,
but
I hope so.
As KOI is a team that's good at getting early leads and prone to throwing them away in the late game, Fnatic is a team that's usually good at making mistakes in the early game and then finding ways to regroup and bounce back.
The opposite.
But again, we're seeing nobody on the mid wave from Movistar KOI. So now you have Humanoid set up to clear the wave and threaten.
And that wall as well that Jojo can't get around. Supa flashes away immediately. Call the Forge God is good, but Supa just needs one simple reset. Mikyx won't give it to him until the rocket comes in. And now the range at play. Elyoya found a beautiful pick onto Razork, and away he goes. Supa with the shutdown. Getting excited while Myrwn is zone controlling. Upset just needs to poke. The Dragon going down ever so slowly, and Oscarinin without his ulti. He's ready to snap onto Supa. The damage is unreal. He rips, he shreds, and Movistar KOI are going to bed.
Oscarinin changing the landscape of this fight. It looked like such a good front to back for KOI. They were able to keep their carries safe. They were able to have the front line tank the damage up. But look at how things play out. The Taliyah wall is going to come down. A beautiful hook from Mikyx. Forces the flash out from Supa. But here, it's looking like a one fight for KOI.
Yeah, it's the fact that the Taliyah wall ends up giving safety to Jojopyun and Supa. It goes well. Razork ends up going down off the back of this, but it's Fnatic who just need a second to regroup. And Oscarinin, he sees his moment. Jojo and Myrwn out of the pit. He ghosts. He sees Supa and just goes straight over the wall. Murders Supa. And Elyoya is desperately trying to save him, but Jojo went for Humanoid rather than saving the back line, and now he's vulnerable as well. Misplays and misdecision making from Movistar KOI come back to bite them.
And now it bites him in front of the Baron as well. Humanoid, like I said, doing due diligence with his seismic shove, and now a depth charge as KOI came here to soft contest. This time one doesn't hit from Humanoid, but Fnatic on the chase here. They've got a Mountain Soul, they cannot, and Upset's damage is going to rip and continue to do exactly what Oscar did before. The needlework zones him out, a shove once more. Call of the Forge God from Myrwn will bow death. And Fnatic are gonna look to set us up for match point.
Mickey's sneaky hooks have been crucial in this game. Bypassing the front line, hitting Jojopyun. Upset follows up with the Chains of Corruption. They finish off the Azir, and they're just finding ways to worm around Movistar KOI every single fight.
Another one fight, another secured objective. Upset remains deathless. He chunks out Supa's HP, and Humanoid is there to follow.
Because he wants a pick, it's all it takes. Seismic Shove. Supa didn't have flash. He's lucky to get away from that one, but again, maybe a little bit overhyped as the Baron is used well regardless. Upset, his range is brutal at this point. As Adakan goes down in the win of things.
It'll be the top lane going with it as well. It's the push from mid from Fnatic to keep Movistar KOI interested so Oscarinin can get full value before they reset with this Red Bull Baron power play. It's only going to be that bot lane structure that leaves outside of Movistar KOI's base, but I think it may be just one brief moment still standing.
Now, I mean, we've been talking about this Gwen from start to finish, but with the death cap completed, I mean, right now he's 3 full levels, but soon it will be 2. The level ticked over. A level 16 Gwen is just one of the most terrifying things to see.
He didn't even stop off for Riftmaker. He's just like, I'm going full murder with needles.
Oh, yeah.
If I just hit you, you die. Like, this is such a burst-heavy build coming through from Oscarinin.
That front line just melts as well. Like, he did not make the Leona look tough whatsoever. And now Fnatic, they set their sights on the bot tier 2, the last structure that Dagda was just talking about. Razork, he's fishing a bit.
I mean, he has Adakan, so he's going to be extra fishy at this point as well. Maybe KOI are the ones who should be fishy because they can just walk up under this turret, 4 members strong. You look at mid, and once again, the needlework's going to fly out. Oscar is huge. And Upset as he walks forward might do the same thing. Who's going to die first? It's a game of catch and ball, but KOI must have forgotten how to catch it. In the end, Oscarinin almost taking down Jojo, opens up mid. The pick on bot opens up bot. And Fnatic with 10.5k want to end it right here.
It's not really catch and play if you're just looking for home run after home run from Oscarinin. The hook onto the Sejuani.
I wonder who lost the bat in the process. Call the Forge God is deflective at this point, but again, Adakan buff is still there, and Elyoya gets snapped in half. Elyoya and his midlaner are now down. Movistar KOI, they might have had the early game, they might have had a semblance of power, but Fnatic, if there's a will, there's them. Match point in the lower bracket. This team always finds a way to survive.
The GGs come through as Fnatic put themselves on match point. 21 kills to 13. A horrendous early game from Fnatic is once again turned around, and they find an avenue for victory.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, behind stage, we have to hear from Sjokz and Oscar for this Inside After Game 2.
Straight off the stage into the interview, 2-0 already. Oscar, it's going great today. Tell me what the most important factors were in winning this game.
I mean, I think we are playing pretty disciplined. Like, I don't think we are trying to make a lot of things happen. I think we are just doing our thing, playing slow, and yeah, playing together in team fights, and that's it. We don't need to do anything special to beat them.
Okay, easy 3-0.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. Thank you very much. We'll go take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the test.
Damn it. Hey, Dragos, you ready for the... Oh, that doesn't look good. Wait, I have a solution, but you have a break. I will be right back. Just wait.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
See? I told you we'd figure it out.
I don't think this counts.
Come on, let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Wait, is he switching lanes?